Okay, hopefully this is our last part. I'm on page 851, Vehicle Extrication Incidents, Victim Access. So let's add this right off the bat. Uh, Put in your notes, first set up control zones. That would be your hot, warm, and cold zones. So first set up your control zones at a vehicle extrication incident. Okay, trained firefighter twos are allowed to perform a number of vehicle extrication tasks. That could be removing a window or windshield, opening, prying, or removing a door, removing a roof, or remove steering wheels, steering columns, or dashboards. The best available access method is one that is simplest and fastest. Lengthier methods prolong the victim's suffering and more dangerous for victims and rescuers. Seriously injured victims are more likely to survive if they receive medical treatment quickly. Okay, so we need to know this. Opening a normally operating door. Examine the door closest to the victim and try to open it normally. First, normally. If you cannot, try the victim's other doors. If none of these doors open normally, then you can use a tool to release one of the locks. So the first thing you do is try to normally operate the door and see if you can open it. Removing a window. Now I want you to add this to your notes, removing a window. This is not a simple procedure. It may not always be a simple procedure. Windows are removed to gain access to victims, reduce the danger of cuts and abrasions from broken glass. To protect yourselves, always wear full PPE with eye protection. Cover the vehicle's occupants with a salvage cover or a protective blanket. Do not use your protective gear to cover a victim. I have seen this before. Do not ever take off your protective gear to do that. Removing safety glass. You need to know that many automobiles use the windshield as a structural component. Know that. Removing the windshield is no longer a standard practice during extrication. Know that. Removing the windshield seriously weakens the vehicle's body and may cause it to collapse. Because it is difficult to tell which vehicle include this design feature, some departments no longer remove windshields. Whenever possible, leave the windshield intact. Know that. Removing safety glass is more complicated and time-consuming than removing tempered glass. Safety glass does not disintegrate and fall out the way tempered glass does. Extra layer of the laminate on newer windshields make them harder to chop through. Saws, know this, saws are the most effective tool for removing double laminated glass. Make sure you know that. Any of the following tools may be used to remove standard safety glass. An axe, an air chisel, a hay hook, reciprocating saw, those sort of things. Removing tempered glass can be a little more simple. For tempered glass, here's the key to this, and make sure you know this. The lower corner of the window breaks easily when struck with a sharp pointed object. Sharp pointed object, lower corner. Also, you can use the spring-loaded center punch. A spring-loaded center punch. Make sure you know that. On the lower corner of the window. Now I'm going to add one thing if you are using a saw, and that's basically you would use a saw on the windshield. Add this. If you're going to use a saw, start the cut in the top center of the windshield. Top center of the windshield is where you would start the cut. Top center of the windshield. Tempered glass is going to be more on the sides and a lot of the back glasses. That's going to be the lower corner of the window. And you can use a sharp pointed object such as a Halligan tool, a Phillips screwdriver. But if most of us, if we do carry devices, we'll carry, it's a saw, and along with that saw, there's a spring-loaded punch. That's with that saw that you can use. Okay, know this. Always use your opposite hand to support the hand holding the center punch. This prevents you from putting your hands through the glass when it breaks. The center punch from also the center punch from hitting a victim who is close to the window. A non-spring-loaded center punch, or a Phillips screwdriver can be also driven into the window with a hammer or a mallet. If nothing else, you can also use your Halligan tool or the pick end of the pickhead axe. Make sure the victim is covered. Inform the other teammates before you break glass. So always yell, breaking glass. You may have to break glass furthest away from the victim in order to cover the victim before breaking glass near them. Contact paper. Most of the pieces will stick on the paper. Allow the window to be removed as a unit. Great thing about living in South Texas, most people have tin on their windows. So whenever you do go to break a window, especially the side windows, it will all come out as one unit. You can also use duct tape. Duct tape, apply the tape, then spray the glass surface with an aerosol adhesive. We just don't carry that on the apparatus, but this is a method. Within seconds, it creates a coating layer binding the glass together. Rescuers can use duct tape to form handles that help them carry or control the broken glass. All of these methods require more time, so use them only if time and patient care is not critical. The rear windows can be made from tempered or safety glasses. If the rear window does not respond to techniques for removing tempered glass, it is probably safety glass. Prying open a door. Okay, add this to prying open a door. Add hydraulic tools are the most effective. Hydraulic tools are the most effective for prying open a door. Okay, using a spreader, inserting a spreader into the latch or the hinge side, something we went over earlier. Doesn't matter which side you start on, but it's either going to be the latch side or the hinge side of the vehicle used to open or completely remove a stuck door. If the outer door panel is plastic, you may have to remove this panel in order to reach the metal frame of the door. If the interior molding is plastic, remove all molding and check the curtain bag indicators. Peek and peel. Remove all the molding, all that plastic molding, remove the rubber from around the window. We want to see metal. Other techniques for opening doors: cutting the hinges, breaking the lock mechanism, cutting the nadir pin, compromising the door locks. All right, I'm going to add another thing. For opening the doors, add this. Use power hydraulic tools. You can start on the hinge side or the latch side for a jammed door. You can also use pry bars to bend sheet metal. Okay, so hydraulic tools, you can start on the hinge side or latch side, and you can also use pry bars to bend the sheet metal. A lot of times we make a purchase point using our Halligan tools or a pry bar, and it's just a little space between the doors so we can actually get the blades of the spreader in between the doors so we can start to open it. Now there's other techniques. We can set it in the window and make these purchase points, but that's something simple that we can use. So you can use pry bars to bend sheet metal, maybe for that purposes of what's called a purchase point. Removing the vehicle's roof. Add this. Manual and hand tools can be used. Manual and hand tools can be used. Hydraulic is the best choice, which would be your cutters. So best choice for removing the roof would be hydraulic cutters. Removing the doors and the roof from a unibody construction vehicle can seriously compromise its structural integrity. Make sure you know that. Always place a step chalk or other support under the B-post of these vehicles before removing the roof. Removing the roof involves cutting it away from the doorpost and lifting it off as a unit. Avoid cutting into seatbelt pretensioners or side airbags. Peek and peel, see what you're cutting. If the vehicle's on its side, gaining access to the roof is particularly effective. Rescuers can use air chisels, reciprocating saws to cut the opening in the roof. All right, cutting post. Cutting posts may be a need to cut the posts that support the roof in order to extricate the victim. Know this, know that roof support posts typically house seatbelt pretensioners or side curtain airbags. Make sure you know that. Do not activate these safety devices while cutting the post. So again, remove the interior trim before cutting is recommended. Make sure you know that. Many modern vehicle components are made from case-hardened steel or exotic metals. These could be magnesium, titanium. They are lighter, stronger, and result in greater fuel efficiency. Here's the big thing in those. The strength makes them difficult to cut through. So hand tools, know that hand tools cannot cut through posts made from these exotic metals. Know that. You're going to need a reciprocating and a rotary saw that may cut through these boron metal posts. So reciprocating or rotary saws to cut through the boron metal posts, but the cutting does permit damage to the saw blade. In many cases, only specially designed shears can cut through roof support posts made of these metals and materials. You can always cut around your posts. On the roof, if you're going to remove the roof, instead of cutting your post, you can actually pie cut on the top of the roof and go around them. It's just different techniques. Displacing the dashboard. It's common after front-end collisions, know that, in which victims are often pinned under the steering wheel or wedged under a dashboard. To extricate victims in the front seat, you must roll or displace the entire dashboard away from them. Most appropriate method depends on the available tools, local SOPs, and vehicle's condition. May be accomplished without removing a windshield or flapping a roof. Removing only one door is often enough. In some situations, rolling a dashboard may be unnecessary or impossible. May be necessary to lift the steering column off a victim. Can be accomplished by using a tilt steering mechanism or removing the windshield, placing a hook or chain around the column, or using a power lifting tool to raise or straighten it up. Now, if we are going to be actually displacing a dashboard, we need to make what's called a relief cut. So, add this, if we're going to be displacing rolling a dashboard, make a relief cut. And that's usually going to be at the bottom of the A-post. The bottom of the A-post is where we would make a relief cut. And we're talking about that's going to be basically where the floorboard is and where the dash starts. We'll make a relief cut right there. Cutting the steering wheel ring. Know this, cutting the steering wheel ring can be hazardous to a victim and responders. Two primary hazards. Know this, accidental deployment of the airbag and resulting spring action of the wheel when cut. Now, that takes us to the end of the chapter. So I just wanted to make sure you understand cutting of the steering wheel ring, make sure you know those two primary hazards. So that takes us to the end of this chapter. So good luck. Hope to see you guys soon. Hopefully when we get back out there, we got a lot of the lecture already done, and we can just get into the skills and try to get you guys hopefully turned out on time. So we'll see you guys maybe soon. Maybe we'll get to do some skills in small groups here and there, but we'll keep you informed. See you later, guys.